Well, hello all my ag interests across the Midwest and across the Corn Belt. Wow, what a week. It's going to be a brutally cold week and quite a bit of snow in a lot of areas, record-breaking cold in many parts of the U.S. Corn Belt. Let's take a look at the briefing for this week. Well, first of all, where's the Arctic air? And the Arctic vortex has relaxed, the jet stream has relaxed across the Arctic regions, and that's allowing this cold air to spill to the south. Coldest air is in these gray and blue shades here, although anywhere in red is experiencing very cold temperatures. And I want to show you how this cold air is going to overspread the Corn Belt as we get through this week. Now, I mentioned last week, I sent out something about this brutal Arctic outbreak. And really, I wanted to show you the Arctic Oscillation, or AO. The Arctic Oscillation is a measurement that I look at. It looks at pressure levels, and what it does is it gives me some idea of the general patterns of temperature and indirectly precipitation. Now, the Arctic Oscillation is either positive or negative, and when it's positive, it's above this line here, and when it's negative, it's below this line here. So this week, what we see here is we see the Arctic Oscillation dipping well to the negative range right here. And then what's interesting here, look at this. This is next week. It's going to be positive and then perhaps dip down either neutral or negative. There's a lot of spread as we get into the latter part of January. So what I'm going to focus on in today's briefing is going to be this negative range right here. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about what this means going back into positive over a quick 2-week period. Okay, so I mentioned temperatures would start off very, very cold early this week, and this is the latter part of this week, or mid to late week. And look at where these gray temperatures, and these are generally temperatures below zero. And look at it; it spreads over the central part of the Corn Belt, and then over the eastern part of the Corn Belt as well. So the cold air this week is going to be sinking to the south and pushing to the east, and that's going to mean a record cold week over a large part of the U.S. Corn Belt. So if we look at this past 7 days observed precipitation, for the most part it was fairly moderate or modest as far as the overall quantity. The blue is only up to 0.50 liquid equivalent, but we did get quite a bit of snow over the last week over parts of the region. If we look at the percent of normal, sort of a mixed picture here. Blues and purple indicate above normal precipitation, and the yellows and reds indicate below normal precipitation. So if you sort of step back and look at this, you see a very blotchy type pattern. So it's a little bit hard to characterize precipitation over the last week. For example, Wisconsin, below normal precipitation, North and South Dakota, above normal precipitation. Now, as far as temperatures go, I wanted to show you, boy, this has looked the same over many, many weeks now. Over the upper Midwest here, this is indicating purples and blues, temperatures 10 to 12 degrees below normal, and that's just the average for last week. As we get into this week, we're looking at temperatures 30 degrees or more below normal in that cold Arctic air. So I mentioned we had quite a bit of snow last week. This is the last 7 days, and keep in mind as I'm doing this briefing, we have a snowstorm going on right now, so it's going to change quite a bit early this week. But you can see a large part of the Corn Belt did at least get some snow. Purple or maroon here is only a couple inches of snow. Heavier amounts were in this streak right here across parts of Iowa into Illinois, especially along the Great Lakes, which was enhanced by lake effect snow. Parts of Indiana and Ohio as well. But the heaviest snow by far is occurring during this time of the briefing. Now the snow depth, you can see most of the U.S. Corn Belt with perhaps this little hole right in here. There is an area right in here that has very little snow, but elsewhere just about the entire Corn Belt now has some degree of snow, and the medium blue is the heavier snow, and then this is a lighter snow, the white and the lighter part of blue. But again, we're going to be picking up a lot of snow over parts of the eastern and central Corn Belt this week, especially early this week. Okay, now this week we're going to have two systems, and this is the upper jet stream. Areas in blue and red, these are pulses of energy, and I just sort of wanted to show you the big picture here. This is one pulse of energy, and that's going to be lifting out to the north. Very compact, powerful system there, and that's going to be producing the near blizzard conditions early this week. And then as we get into the middle part of the week, into the latter part of the week, we have a second system coming out a little bit further south, but this is definitely a weaker system, but that will be bringing another mixed precipitation, rain over the south, snow over most of the Corn Belt, towards the middle part of the week. So two systems moving through. The first one will be stronger. This is the track of the low with the first system. And remember, I've mentioned over the last couple weeks that the heaviest precipitation generally occurs just to the west, along and to the west of the track of that low. So that just looking at that track of the low, that's where you would expect that the heaviest precipitation would occur. So as far as the liquid accumulation forecast for the next 7 days, you can see that the heaviest amounts are occurring in Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. That's been an active band of precipitation over the last 60 days or so. And parts of this over the northern part, generally in this region right here, that's going to come in the form of snow, and that's going to be that heavy snowfall forecast, and that's going to be up to a foot of snow in some of those areas. So here's your heaviest snow band right in here. This area of purple here is indicating over 8 inches of snow. Brighter shades, a couple spots here and a couple spots here above a foot of snow. So as far as the weekly hazards outlook, once we get this heavy snow band going through, really looks like the hazard this week is going to be near record or record cold temperatures across almost the entire Midwest, actually, in fact, the entire Midwest, and that's going to be the story this week. Now, remember that Arctic oscillation discussion that I mentioned, how next week it's going to be going into a positive phase? Well, it looks like, welcome to everybody, temperatures are going to be moderating during the January 12th through 19th time frame. Looks like temperatures are going to be going back up above normal. Now we're going to be fighting a bit this very fresh snowpack, and fresh snow cover can reduce temperatures 5 to 10 degrees below what would normally occur. So we're still going to have to deal with that, but it does look like temperatures will be noticeably milder next week as compared to this week. Now as far as precipitation in week 2, wanted to show you that it looks like there could be some precipitation in this area in blue. We could have some precipitation again in the upper Midwest like we've seen. Remember that snow band we've had from North Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin? That could become active again in week 2. But it does look like modest precipitation over the area during the second week. Now let's look out a little bit further. Now keep in mind these are long-range outlooks, but I like to sort of keep you updated on some of the major trends going on. As far as precipitation, orange is below normal, green is above normal. So this is January 19th through 25th. And across the Corn Belt, it looks like that week, week 3, looks like it's going to be a fairly quiet week with below normal or normal precipitation. Week 4, it looks like we could get back in that active upper Midwest snow track and perhaps a bit of snow or rain in this area as well. Not a lot of detail here, but what I wanted to point out from week 3 to week 4 is there could be a sort of a flip-flop as far as precipitation goes. 1 week quieter, which would be week 3, and then week 4 a bit more active. Now, unfortunately, temperatures, blues and greens are below normal. This is week 3, January 19th through 25th. It looks like most of the region is experiencing, again, colder than normal temperatures. Remember that Arctic oscillation, week 3 dips negative again. And look at this. This is January 26th through February 1st. This is another strong vortex of cold Arctic air pooling up in Canada. Wouldn't be surprised if we get to the latter part of the week or early February, that again sinks down and we have another Arctic blast during that time. So other than week 2, not this week, next week, which moderating temperatures are expected. After that, it looks like temperatures will again go back into below normal territory with the possibility of another extremely cold Arctic outbreak late in the month into early February. Takeaway points from today's briefing: a record cold week. That's the big story. We're going to start out with a near blizzard over parts of the central and eastern parts of the Corn Belt. 2 systems. First system very strong, second system not as strong. And then next week, milder temperatures, but still tempered a bit due to this snowpack. Still be quite cold, but not nearly as cold as this week. If you have any questions, I'd love to hear from you. If you like our briefings, send me an email as well. There's my email, and I will be sending out information throughout the week. Nice talking to you. Have a nice week. Keep warm if possible.